Hello everybody, Dr. Fixmaster. Today's repair is going to be a 2008 Honda Civic EX. We're going to do a transmission fluid drain and fill plus filter change. The filter is behind the transmission fluid filter is behind the air filter box. A little bit tricky to get to, so I figure this information will probably be useful. Let's get to it. Okay, step one. The access plug for the transmission drain is a little bit inaccessible because this car is so low to the ground. So I'm going to jack it up at the center point in the frame, right there, so I can get under there and undo the bolt, which is just a 3/8 square, like a ratchet socket hole. So you just stick the ratchet in the hole and off you go. Okay, see that square hole right there? That is the transmission drain hole. You don't really even need to jack the vehicle up till the tires come off the ground. Just high enough to get access to that square plug there. I'm just going to stick my 3/8 inch ratchet in there and go lefty-loosey on it, and make sure you have a drain pan underneath it to catch the fluid. Okay, this is the front of the car. Got it jacked up in the middle. This is probably a better angle on it. You can see my little 3/8 breaker bar stuck right in that hole, and I'm going lefty-loosey on that to get it loose. It's rather tight, so I'm going to work on it for a while. Maybe use a longer attachment because I can't quite budge it loose. If you can bust that loose without taking your knuckles off, you're doing better than me. So I finally I got it off. It broke loose, and now it's very loose, but oh man, it seems like this happens every single time I work on a car. It's amazing I have any knuckles left. Alright, here comes the fluid. I haven't taken the plug all the way out. As you can see, that fluid is kind of brownish in color. I'm not sure that's the original color, so it looks like it is pretty dirty, and it's a timely thing that I'm changing it out. Okay, there's the drain plug. It's got a magnet on it. It's designed to collect metal filings as the fluid circulates through the transmission. So you're going to want to wipe that thing off very well with a paper towel and get all that blackish crud off of there before you plug it back in. Okay, here's a better look at the drain plug. You see that 3/8 socket head just goes right inside of there when you take it off. But there's an aluminum crush washer goes over this to seal it when you put a new one on. So you want the grooves in there. It gets crushed, it gets misshapen, so this is garbage now. Otherwise it will leak if you try to put that one back on. So you're going to need new ones every time you do this. So that's so that you can read the number. I don't have my glasses on, but I think it says XD0DMJHNW3 Honda Genuine OEM Automatic Transmission Drain Plug Washers. I hope I read that correctly. I can actually magnify it with this camera. There you go. So you're going to need one of those to go back on. Okay, while the fluid is draining out of the bottom, the transmission inline filter, which that's the replacement part, and the old one looks exactly like it, is buried behind this filter box. So just set this down, and that comes loose. I think there's another bolt here somewhere. Yeah, basically any bolt that you find on that is going to come off, and we have to unplug these cables as well. First cable is this one. You just push down on this, and that comes right off like that. Moving across. I got to figure this out as I go. I think this one just comes up. After this is unplugged, these little clips right here will allow you to just pop this thing right off. Just lift it up, lay it over the top, get it out of the way. You'll just put it back when you're done. This tube, these two tubes actually, there's clips on the end of each. Those all need to be removed, and this piece of metal comes out. So that takes some finagling, but it's doable. So just work those, and then you just pop them out. You'll also see that I'm just trying to basically free up this air filter box. I've disconnected the hose here. I'm going to have to disconnect the hose back here, and there's a 10 millimeter bolt right here, and then there's another 10 millimeter bolt way back in there. You can see it right down in there. That needs to come loose. And then you can free that box and get it out of the way so we can access the filter. To get to that second 10 millimeter bolt, I'm using just a 1/4 inch drive socket on a 10 millimeter with a like a universal joint pivot head on it. I believe the last time I did this, if you just use a regular 10 millimeter socket with an extension, a straight one, I think that you can still get to it. It'll just poke straight down through there. I think you can still do that. It takes kind of a long extension, but you can still do it. Okay, so I misled you. I just dropped my wrench, 1/4 inch wrench down in there, so now it's lost. I'm not going to be able to get to it until I get this airbox out, so I'm going to test my theory to see if a straight wrench with an extension on it will be able to get down in there. And I know it will, but you can't really turn anything until this is gone, so you have to disassemble this. Pop the clips, clip, 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 4 of them. This should just lift right out. Set it somewhere. And take that filter element, inspect it. Looks like I need a new one. Should probably go get a new one. Set that aside. Okay, now I should have enough room to get in there with my wrench, and I do. So now I can just rotate that thing out. I got to work it with 2 hands because it's come loose already. I've loosened up that bolt back there. I'm going to take these clips and deal with those now. So just back that off. Back this one off. This one. Scoot it over. Get these things anywhere where you can deal with them. This one is a little bit awkward. You might have to work on that. Yeah. So you rotate this one until you can grip it. Once you grip it, get that out of the way. And this whole thing should just pop out. So you can get this thing out of the way. So I need 2 hands to do this, so I'm gonna just turn off, but you can see I'm just gonna get this thing out of the way so that I can loosen the screws on this thing so I can finally pull this whole air cleaner assembly out and get to that filter. Okay, word to the wise, that 10 millimeter bolt back there doesn't need to come all the way out. All you have to do is loosen it up so that it can slide out from the groove next to it when you rotate the bottom part of this assembly up. So I've unscrewed that right there to loosen this. There's a post right there that has a rubber grommet around it. This thing just lifts out and pops over the top of that, so don't be afraid of that. You can just pull it up and over that without any trouble. And you have to twist it a little bit at a funny angle to sort of get it out, but it pops right out. Okay, once again, I was hanging up on that 10 millimeter bolt, so I did decide to bring it all the way out. You have to be careful that you don't drop the washer or the bolt itself, or you might lose it down in there somewhere. But that's what's going to free this thing up. I'm still maneuvering it a little bit, but you can see it's on its way out. Okay, the way that this thing comes out is once you pull up on this side and free up this grommet and post right here, the whole thing, you're going to bring the front end up, and then you're going to turn the whole thing to the right to clear, and then it will finally come out. And there you go. You've now got access way back behind the transmission. And grab my light here. That is where the inline filter is hiding. You can see it right back there at little canister-like thing right where I'm shining the light is what we're after. So we can reach down there without any trouble and loosen up the old hoses and take the old one out and put the new one in. Okay, so I have moved a hose out of the way and wired it out of the way so that you can see a little bit better. So you can see this is pretty easy to release. There's just a clip on one side of the inline filter. There's nothing really there, it's just held in place. On the other side there's a bolt, and that bolt, see the bolt? Just loosen that bolt right there, and that'll free up the one side so you can just open up that clamp, and then that inline filter will just pop out. There's still a hose clamp though on the front side of it, right there, and there's another hose clamp on the back side. Those hose clamps have to be freed up to get that filter out, but it should go pretty easy. That bolt right there is also a 10 millimeter, and I don't think I can get to it with my, well, maybe I can get to it with my socket, but I've also got an open end wrench I can get to it with. Okay, there's the filter, the inline filter. Came out of the hose down there. This side with this rim closest to the end goes downhill and that way. You've got to make sure you get that right, otherwise you'll blow up your transmission. Make sure that filter is in the right way, the new one. So there it is. That's how it goes in. Now it was kind of tricky to get out of there because that hose clamp on the underside of here was tough to get to, but I'll show you when I put the new one in how to do it, and the reverse is how you get the thing off. You kind of have to twist this thing to get the hoses off. They stick to the metal at first, but once they break loose, then they're pretty easy to slide. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the trick that I use to get this hose clamp off, and it's tricky because that compartment right there is not a lot of room. So I'll demonstrate it with this old filter. The way that you do it is you unhook this end first. When you do that, you'll free this up. It's on a rubber hose, and you can use this one. Then you can bend that rubber hose around so that you can see that other clip. Once you can see that other clip, there's not a lot of room to maneuver. So the only way I found I was able to get to it, turn a pair of needle nose pliers like this. Both of your hands back around in there, and then grab onto the clip, squeeze it down, and then you can maneuver it along the hose back and forth like that. And that's the way I got it off, that's the way I'm going to put it back on. Okay, there it is, all installed, nice and pretty like. I found that it was easier to put the filter back in and put the bracket around it to hold it in place while I put this side of the hose back on and readjusted the clamp. Incidentally, it's impossible to install this filter backwards because there's a groove on that clamp that goes right around the lip on the filter. If you have the filter in backwards, you won't be able to get that clamp back on right. So that's a little fail-safe to help out. So now just putting it back together, the reverse is what we did, and we're good. We're done, I think. I should let you know a couple of things. I did retrieve my 1/4-inch wrench out of there. I finally got it. When you loosen this clamp right here with the screwdriver, do not undo it all the way. I can't remember if there's a bolt on the other side of that or not that's going to drop off and fall down into the engine. You only need to loosen it enough to get that hose out. The other thing is that the clamp that holds the transmission filter in place, rethreading the bolt on that to install it and tighten it down was really a bugger, and I fought with it for quite a while. The only way I was able to get it in there was by pushing. I got my socket on it, and then I pushed really hard down onto the socket while it was threading the hole, and it apparently needs to have a lot of pressure on it in order to line up with the hole properly, so just keep that in mind when you're rethreading that nut to tighten it down. Now I'm just putting these tubes back in place, and I'll probably get a new filter here today to finish up. Okay, we're all back together now. Everything's looking good. I put the drain plug back in underneath and torqued it down with the new washer on it. I don't recall what the torque specification is on that, but you can start gently and then just tighten it up until it seals off. You don't want to over tighten it because stripping the threads on your transmission is not a good thing. So go slowly on that side. Now I'm just going to fill it up. You fill it up right where you check the transmission fluid, right down there where that dipstick is, and you just need a long funnel. This is the fluid that came out of the car. It's, you know, you can see there's some reddish in there, but it's very dark. I'm going to dip my finger in here. It's kind of a brownish color. You can still tell that's original red, but this transmission fluid, the Honda transmission fluid that I'm about to put in here, is clear and cherry red. So that's what you want it to look like. If it looks like that, you know you've left it too long. One more thing I need to recommend is to get a gallon jug or something where you can measure off the quarts on it and pour the old fluid into it so that you can measure exactly how much came out of the machine so that you know exactly how much to put back in. Once it's all back in, you want to start up the car and cycle through all the gears, let it sit in each one for a little while to get that fluid circulating nicely everywhere before you head off on the road. And I believe that's it. Thanks for watching. One more parting comment. This is the amount of transmission fluid I took out of this car today. So it looks like about, I'm going to call that 3.5 quarts. Incidentally, I also used Honda Genuine Automatic Transmission Fluid ATF DW1. 3.5 quarts.